What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. Today we're talking the September 13th, 2024 edition of the SmackDown LowDown, the season premiere, I guess. If we had the season premiere of SmackDown on USA on Friday, I guess that would make this the season premiere of SmackDown LowDown. So it is worth noting that the show now airs, and this was not just a one-week thing. They did mention at the end of the show this will continue going forward, I believe. SmackDown LowDown will now air immediately after SmackDown on Peacock. Now, I did not watch the show live on Friday night, so I don't know, for anyone who gives a shit, I don't really know how the schedule works, because they used to have NXT Level Up air at 10 on Peacock. So maybe it's SmackDown LowDown, and then the NXT Level Up show right afterward. I'm not really sure how that works. They never promote NXT Level Up airing live anyway. They never really say, hey, watch NXT Level Up after SmackDown on Peacock. They never say that. So I'm not really sure what the schedule looks like exactly, but this did air on Friday night on Peacock and was available on VOD like right afterwards. So that's cool. I mean, they used to put up the show, and they have been putting up the show, and I've been reviewing the show starting at noon on Saturdays for the last little while. It is weird, though, because Raw Talk has been live after Raw. They were doing it after Raw in the Thunderdome back, years ago, in the same building as Raw, but they haven't done that since, WWE went back on the road after COVID in 2021. So SmackDown LowDown, though, has always been on Saturday afternoons. I don't think it was ever after SmackDown back in 2020, 2021. So they would always have this on SmackDown or on Saturday afternoons, but they would have Raw Talk on Monday nights right after Raw. And it was weird because SmackDown's a 2-hour show. So you would think, okay, they would do the show after SmackDown on a 2-hour show, with it being 2 hours. But Raw Talk, it's too long, so let's do it the next day. Maybe Raw is old news by Tuesday? I don't know, but that's never really made any sense to me. They are now rectifying that and airing SmackDown LowDown live right after SmackDown on Friday nights for anyone who wants to watch it as it airs and not the next day on VOD. You can still watch it on VOD. They put it up on VOD soon after, but they're going to first air it live on Friday nights, and they might hopefully have more breaking news and meaningful match announcements, which we did here on this show, which we'll get to in a moment. It was Megan Morant, Scott Stanford, per usual. They open up the episode by replaying the ending to the show with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns agreeing to team up at Bad Blood against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Scott Stanford questions if Rhodes and Reigns can coexist, the whole can they coexist storyline. Well, we're going to see at Bad Blood. They also replay Cody Rhodes beating Solo Sikoa inside the steel cage to retain the undisputed WWE Championship at the beginning of the show. They also replay Michin beating Piper Niven right after that. We hear from Chelsea Green backstage, and Chelsea says that she always steals the show. She didn't even wrestle tonight, but she stole the show. Or she didn't wrestle on Friday, rather. And she stole the show anyway. Vicky Guerrero then shows up, which I'll get to in a second, and says that, I saw the way that you hit Michin with that trash can. You and Michin should have a dumpster match. Nick Aldis shows up and says, I agree. So I don't know if that's happening next week. I imagine it will, but it will be Michin and Chelsea Green in a dumpster match, which I don't know if we've seen in WWE. I know Braun Strowman had one with Kalisto back in 2017, so I don't know if we've seen one in WWE since then. We probably have, and I just don't remember. They've only had a handful of dumpster matches in WWE history. I don't know if they've had one since 2017, though, but we're getting one presumably next week with Chelsea Green and Michin. So the fact that Vicky showed up here, she was in the crowd during SmackDown, and I tweeted because I'm like, didn't this woman get canceled at one point like a year ago? And not even as like a joking thing. I laughed when I saw her, but it really isn't that funny. That whole thing that I say got canceled, but which she did, but what I mean by that is that whole thing with her daughter, and her daughter put up that long video on YouTube or on Twitter, TikTok, whatever it was. And she completely buried Vicky and I think her new husband. I don't know if that was Vicky's daughter's, I think it was Eddie's daughter. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the family tree looks like exactly. Because it's not Eden English's wife. That's someone else. That was Shaul Guerrero. She was in NXT at a few different points. It's a different Guerrero, but she had issues with Vicky, and it wasn't, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the family lineage looks like, but it was a whole family issue about a year ago. It did not make Vicky look good. And coincidentally enough, not even really coincidentally, she disappeared from AEW right after that or right before that, and they never brought her back. Her contract expired, or I don't know if they fired her or her contract expired. I don't know. But she was never again in AEW after that. She was previously aligned with Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir. So she popped back up on SmackDown. They used her in a .com exclusive video. They used her in the crowd, and they used her here as well. I mean, not only is Vicky Guerrero's WWE on-screen persona obnoxious as fuck and channel-changing material, the fact they would use her at all, I mean, it wasn't right after the fact, but people still remember it. People were talking about it on Twitter yesterday, or on Friday, rather, is not good. So, get Vicky off the show, whatever show, whether it's SmackDown LowDown, I don't give a shit. Get her off the fucking show. I would have preferred it was like Teddy Long or someone like that, personally. And Vicky's always been a heel anyway, so her making like a babyface decision here in front of a heel Chelsea Green doesn't even really make sense. Anyway, they replayed Kevin Owens and Randy Orton beating A-Town Down Under in tag team action. Scott Stanford questions if the heels can keep it together, which we've been asking for months now. I just don't care. I mean, it's been so long, either break up or stay together, whatever the fuck it is. It has been going on for way too long to the point where I just don't give a shit. They replay Andrade beating Carmelo Hayes in the LA Knight post-match promo. We're going to be getting LA Knight and Andrade next week on SmackDown for the United States Championship, and we hear from LA Knight here as well with Byron Saxton. LA Knight says that you can't get enough of him. Doesn't matter what the network is or on SmackDown itself, you can never get enough of LA Knight. And I agree. He addresses Andrade in their upcoming championship match and says that Andrade beating Carmelo Hayes, not that it means nothing, but he just said that you won a series of matches just to be the biggest loser when you face me and fail to win the U.S. Championship, which is true. They replay Nia Jax, Tiffany, Bayley, and Naomi making their tag team match official for next week's SmackDown, where if Bayley or Naomi pin one of the heels, they will get an opportunity at the WWE Women's Championship at Bad Blood. But if they lose, depending on who takes the pin, that person is then gone from SmackDown permanently, Nia said. We hear from Bayley and Naomi here. Bayley says that she and Naomi are ride or die. She'll always have her back, all this other sort of stuff. And it was interesting. Naomi also said, oh yeah, they'll get these groceries. And I imagine, you could probably imagine what she meant by that line. They also addressed the stipulation of the whole leaving SmackDown permanently, and they clearly don't really take it seriously. To the point where back in the studio, Megan Morant even says that they're in denial about the stipulation. I mean, you could make the argument that they're confident, that's why they're not going to lose, and they're kind of like joking about it or whatever. But it's true, though, they're not really pondering the possibility that one of them could be gone next week, which backs up what I said in my SmackDown review from earlier, in that it's possible they have the heels win and Naomi gets the pinfall loss, maybe even Bayley. But I think it's possible that one of them gets pinned and then they go to Raw. Especially if Jimmy Uso might pop back up on Raw soon to be with Jey Uso and reunite those two. Very possible. To get the band back together before they feud with the Bloodline at some point. Very possible. Very possible. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see next week. I still think Bayley will win for her team and face Nia at Bad Blood, but don't discount the possibility of Bayley or Naomi, probably Naomi, getting pinned, and they're off to Raw. They replay Roman Reigns saving Cody Rhodes after the steel cage match. They replayed the cage match earlier in the show, then they replayed the post-match angle here. That was weird. But they basically just preview Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns taking on Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu in tag team action at Bad Blood in a couple of weeks. It's a pretty straightforward edition of the SmackDown Lowdown here. We heard from Chelsea Green, Bayley, Naomi, LA Knight, so a lot of star power. And they also set up Chelsea Green and Michin, I believe, in a dumpster match, for next week's SmackDown. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But they made it sound like it will happen next week. But I like the fact the show's going to be airing live now after SmackDown. That makes it more convenient for me if I want to watch it earlier. I think that's cool. So hopefully it stays that way going forward. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.